Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again today is Colin Mitchell. And Colin, we're joined by none other than Reed Smith from Mean Green 24/7 and NT Daily. Reed, how are you doing today?
I'm decent. It's a little early for me, I'm not gonna lie, but
10:30?
it's been a long summer. It's been a very long summer for me.
God,
So
Jeez.
10:30.
30 is pretty early.
Yeah, Colin, when you were in college, don't act like you went to bed at a reasonable hour. You still don't go to bed at reasonable hours.
But I also have an excuse because I work at 2 p.m.
Okay, sure. Yeah, now. What was your excuse in college? You didn't have one. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, man, Reed, for those who don't know, took over for John Fields with our Mean Green 24/7 site. Really excited for him to kind of take that over and do your job. He's already off to a great start here. So Reed, we're gonna pick your brain because we're not, physically there anymore. So you are the eyes and ears here. So we got some questions for you. Keep about 10-15 minutes to get you out of here. First, I want to start with the quarterback position because that's all we talk about on this podcast, really.
Literally the whole that's what makes our money. I mean, that's it. That's all we do.
The whole thing. 5 scholarship quarterbacks. None of them, all of them have played at least 2 years of college football.
Amazing.
Austin Aune is the starter from what I understand at this moment.
Yeah.
Grant Gunnell has moved up to like the second team. What's the quarterback situation at this moment?
You hit it right on the head. I mean, Ani has been running with the ones. He's been the only quarterback to run with the ones throughout fall camp. And at the number 2 spot, it's been more consistently Stone Earl throughout all of fall camp, which is a little bit surprising. And because I guess it was a preconceived notion for a lot of people that I've talked to that number 2 spot at the moment would obviously go to Grant Gunnell, the transfer from Memphis. But he's been more of in that 3 spot for most of camp. From what we've seen, they moved him up into the 2 yesterday, but he's been running with the 3s. But yeah, it's been Austin Auni's position to lose so far in fall camp, and Seth Luttrell has told us that much. So
Does he look like he's sorry.
Does
he look like he's gonna lose it?
I don't think so. Oh. I mean, just early. It's still pretty early in fall camp, but
yeah,
it just seems like he's the guy for the team. Looks more composed than everyone else, and
So Jace Ruder has not gotten first team reps. Is that what you're telling me?
Not at all.
Can we just? Damn. I wish we could just go back to like at least the 15 podcast where it's like Jace Ruder has to be the starter. Jace Ruder, and here he is. Not even being the second string, or not the third string, the fourth string.
Yeah, he's been up and down. And then JD Head has been all over the place. The Louisiana Tech transfer from anywhere from 3 to 5.
Interesting.
They're just kind of moving around everyone at the quarterback position right now in terms of who they're getting reps with. I want to talk to Mike Blesh. Haven't gotten the opportunity yet, but
Yeah. All right, guys. Coming back, guys have come back from injury. I mean, Oscar Attaway, Tommy Bush, Jair Shorter. What have you seen from those 3 guys so far this spring? Are you encouraged, or what have you seen?
Well, for Oscar Attaway, they've obviously been easing him back in from his torn ACL. He's a team leader is what I've seen. He hasn't really seen a lot of field time in the 11v11s yet. That's more gone to a Kaika Ragsdale in the ones at least. But for Oscar, it's just been, you can tell he's the leader of that running back room in terms of just talking to the guys and how they look up to him. He's a big personality. He talks to all the camera people. He talks to me when he's working out.
I love Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar's a great guy.
He's my favorite player, might be of all time now.
Yeah. And then
I do have a question because I kind of brought this up to Bruni when it came to Seth Luttrell. What's the vibe around the team? Because it kind of seemed like it was more. I don't know the word Bruni that I put on it, but it almost seemed like there was a lot less ambiguity. So like in the past, he would never go instantly. Austin Aune is the starter. He would always, be like it's up in the air, but he was a lot more firm in all of his answers.
Yeah. Go ahead, Reed. What do you think about how Latrell's approached this fall?
He seems a little bit lighter this season. He seems to be walking around with a little bit more pep in his step, smiling a little bit more. I like the phrase that Coach Bennett used yesterday. He said that he feels like the team has more of a familiarity with each other this year, and I think that's pretty indicative of the team kind of melding together more than they were last season. Which, when you lose as many defensive guys as they did, you figure that you may lose some of that familiarity. But I mean, according to Bennett and from what we've seen, they've kind of been able to gel a little bit so far in through spring and then early in fall.
I'm not sure if Phil Bennett has completely earned my trust yet. I think he's a good coordinator, obviously, but for us on this podcast, I mean, losing the Murphy twins was such a big deal. They replaced them with Tom Treve and, whether it's Steve Leota or whoever else on the defensive line. I mean, they're going to be fine, but from a defensive perspective, when you start looking at like the depth chart and everything like that, is the defense line still the strongest unit on this defense, or does that the linebackers now, or what do you think?
I mean, you could argue for either defensive line or linebacker. Adding KD Davis back to a linebacker group makes them the best group on the defense, in my opinion, because he's the best player on the defense. You get Kevin Wood as a return. Sifa Leota has been playing a little bit of outside linebacker, been playing that more devil position that Gabriel Murphy played a lot of last season, kind of that hybrid between linebacker and edge rusher. So, I mean, to me, it's got to be the linebacker group that kind of gets that edge of the best unit on the defense. But, the linemen aren't close behind. Tom Treve has been a very pleasant surprise for the defense.
I'm looking at this roster, and I think so. Vegas has the win total at 6, right? I'm not going to ask you to make a prediction over under or anything like that yet.
Yes.
But this is obviously a big year, right? For the Trail Company. This is 7th year at this point.
Yeah.
Now, is it fair to say, and we'll talk about this more, Colin? I mean, I think as this offseason continues, as fall ball ramps up, does it feel like a year where it's like you can't go under 6 wins? Like this, you can't hit the under here. It has to at least be a 6-win season and probably a bowl win at that point. What's your read on that, Reed?
What's my read on that?
What's your read on that, Reed?
Hey, that'd be a good podcast name. Sorry.
Read getting a read on it, something like that.
I agree. I mean, to me, it's a make or break year for Latrell. In my opinion, last season was a make or break situation for Latrell. But when you win 5 straight games and make a bowl game, it's kind of hard to fire someone.
Yeah.
But this season even more so is that position, especially with going to the American Athletic Conference next summer. You don't want to go into that conference with the with no momentum. Yes. And can Latrell provide that momentum this year? He remains to be seen. But to answer your question, yes, I think it's a make or break season for Latrell, and that if he doesn't live up to that over 6-win quota, then I don't think he'll be walking into the American Athletic Conference.
and not to I mean, a coach isn't going to just like show fear or anything, but do you think that's kind of led to him being a little more light around everybody and that do you think that might be a reason why he's kind of just kind of chilled out a little bit?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, anybody that if you thought your job was maybe in jeopardy, you might change the way you act a little bit. I mean, that's just human nature, and I think that's certainly true.
All right, standouts. Read offense, defense. I got to know players that Colin and I have never seen before, but are going to be impact players. Who you got?
Through spring and fall, I've been really impressed with Jamori Macklin, the Mizzou transfer, nephew of Jeremy Macklin. Yeah. So, I mean, Jay Macklin he goes by Jay. I call him his full name. I don't know, but he goes by Jay Macklin.
Is that something you agreed to him with? You're like, I'm just going to call you Jamori.
Yeah. I told him that.
Okay, good.
It's just listed differently everywhere. And the first one I saw was Jamori. So, but he's definitely come in and made an argument for being the best receiver on the team. Rod Burns had a stellar season for what it was last season, but Jay Macklin has been just very impressive in terms of wide receiver transfers. Has definitely outshined Latrell Neville. But yeah, he's been one of those guys. And then I've also had my eyes on what's it called, Sifa Leota. He's been really good this spring, and kind of seems like he's going to be starting. So he was on scholarship. Katie Tavis told me that he was put on scholarship before the fall started, so that was big for him.
So he was a walk-on last year, and then he was put on scholarship?
Yep.
See, I didn't even know who he was based off last year, so I thought he transferred in or something.
Yeah, well, I think he classifies as a redshirt freshman, but he was a walk-on last season.
Okay.
Anybody else? Than that, I mean, I've liked a little bit of what I've seen from the South Oak Cliff. His name is escaping me right now, but
Colin Farrar.
Colin Farrar. I've liked what he's brought. He has a pretty good energy, but other than that, I mean, it's just the regular figures, All
right, I'm gonna throw some names out there then, and whether you've seen them or not, I want you to tell me if they're good.
Let's do it. Let's do an underrated or overrated.
Underrated or overrated?
Overrated. All right.
Katie Davis.
Or properly rated. You can do properly rated.
I was about to say.
Yeah, sorry.
I was going, well, properly rated.
Okay.
What you're going to get with Katie.
Colin thinks he's overrated, so that's good.
Did I ever say that?
Next, Manasseh Mose.
Properly rated.
This is too easy. You shouldn't have given him that out. We should.
No, I wasn't. I thought you were going to name players that we haven't heard about more so yet.
Yeah, but okay. So like Lorenzo Thompson.
That's a good one.
Was he ever rated to begin with?
Yeah, yes, he was. He was highly rated out of high school.
Wide receiver or I'm talking about last season. As a wide receiver or a defensive back last season,
He started some games. He played.
He did. I remember he started against Rice, and then they took him out immediately because he was not paying attention.
So overrated.
Yeah, I'd say overrated for Lorenzo Thompson.
The thing is, Colin, we can't get him in trouble. Like we can just talk about players.
That's a good point. Maybe he should give us players, and we just
we're the ones doing the overrated.
Well, I guess we won't do overrated, underrated. Maybe that's not a good idea.
We'll phrase it better. He's just simply not living up to expectations.
Okay, we'll see. Maybe moving back to receiver.
Yeah, well,
I never understood that whole dynamic, but anyways.
Well, that's when the COVID season happened. They had to move.
No, I know, but you think that they'd kind of phase that out and recruit, anyways.
All right, a player. Here's a player. I'm not overrated, underrated. Well, actually, 2 players. I'm curious about. 3 players. I'm curious about.
Right.
They're all receivers. The Travian Brown. Thoughts on him?
Yeah.
Okay. Off the record, we can't talk about him. All right.
Yeah, off the record.
Hatib Lyles. Can we talk about him?
Yeah, we can talk about Khatib Lyles. Khatib has been, okay. It certainly could be a slot guy I don't think he's going to get consistent reps this season, but he's definitely could be a solid 2 deep guy.
Okay. Because I have questions about all these receivers actually as I'm looking at him. Damon Ward.
I haven't seen a lot of Damon Ward in spring. Just hasn't. Not to say he hasn't made a big impact. Just to say,
to be fair, they've had like a week of practice at this point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Things are still getting shuffled.
Still, that's why you're here. We're gonna ask you all the questions that are completely unfair.
How's Jair Shorter looked? Has he played in spring ball? I don't even know the extent of his injuries.
Well, he has not played in spring or in fall ball. That's what I can say.
Sorry.
Okay. Ziglo McMillan.
Zyhil McMillan.
Okay,
it's a good name.
He hasn't seen a lot of. Okay. He's played. I've seen him run some routes. His routes look okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody else, Colin, that comes to
Tommy
mind
Bush?
Here?
Tommy Bush has been starting a little bit slow. They have him doing that. I don't know exactly what it's called, but that elastic drill where you have where he's pulling.
Colin does those too. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do those all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Same. They're getting him back in slowly, kind of edging him back in before absolutely taking him an ACL tear last year.
Okay. All right. Any other players that come to mind, Colin?
I'm trying to look at the depth chart and scrolling through.
I sent you literally a link of the depth chart.
Yeah, I know. I'm going through that
Okay.
right
Anyways,
now.
I got it, Colin. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
Nicholas Nakawasa? How do you say his name?
I think it's like Nakwash.
Nakawas.
Makes sense.
It has 2 A's in it. So.
Has he? Because I got a depth chart that he said he was starting in the spring. Is he still starting at safety?
No.
Who are the starting safeties?
The starting safeties have been Sean Thomas Faulkner and
Keelan Crosby.
Yep, Keelan Crosby.
Okay.
Checking the notes real
That's
quick.
good. I can change my depth chart now.
Yep.
That's good. I can change my depth chart now. How's our boy Deshaun Gaddy looked?
Deshaun Gaddy has been playing a corner all fall. Kind of split time at safety and corner last season, so he's more consistently going corner this season. He looked solid. Just kind of the leader in that secondary. So, I'm
trying to think of the oldest player not named Austin Aune on this roster, and
Quinn Whitlock.
Quinn Whitlock is all right.
But who's the oldest player on this roster other than Austin Aune? And it might be Ethan Mooney.
I was just looking at that too.
Ethan Mooney went to the same high school as me, and he graduated 4 years before me.
What?
I'm telling you, Ethan Mooney might be the
cake.
second oldest player on the team.
The cake.
So he's at least 24.
24.
Wow. I mean, you could maybe Manasseh Mose.
Manasseh might be old too. But he's a fifth year. I think Manasseh is a fifth year.
Yeah.
Damn.
This is crazy.
Well, all right. Anything else, Colin, before we let him go?
I think we wanted to ask about that one tweet, right? Or did you want to talk about that?
We were just going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right. All right, man. That's all we got for you, man. I appreciate you joining us. We'll definitely do this again relatively soon because we got to just continue to grill you about every single player on the roster.
Hopefully I have more answers next time. I mean, not up in the air stuff right now.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We are the ones that make brash accusations, I guess, or takes, and you're the knowledgeable one here. So, all right, man. We'll let you go. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Appreciate you having me on.
See you, Reed.
Bye.
Underrated or overrated? So funny. I didn't even think about him having to actually interact.
Yeah, you didn't even think about like him having to talk to Lorenzo Thompson. See,
he's gonna go to Lorenzo Thompson to go underrated or overrated.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing about when I was covering the team, or when we were covering the team, is like we just didn't really care. But I would never
throw someone else.
I would never put that on somebody else to be like, "Yo, does this guy suck or not?"
Yo, does this guy suck?
Like, what's the deal here? What's happening? All right. So
do you want to talk about this tweet?
What was that?
Quick? You want to talk about this tweet real quick?
Yeah. Let me pull it up. I'll pull it up for our viewing audience as well. Never mind. That is hard to. No, I can do it.
Fine. Oh, okay.
That's all right, Colin. I'm nothing if not flexible. All right. Hold on.
I wish. Can it go like horizontal, or does it have to be vertical?
This is as good as it gets. Is this legible?
Yes.
All right. So we are looking at something I saw on Twitter from 2014 to 2021. The win percentage over expected differential between home and away for every team in the FBS, right? And I saw this, and North Texas is, I believe, 7th. They have the 7th highest difference between home and away results, right?
Yep.
And so I started thinking about this, and I was like, this lines up. This checks out. They've won 10. So they've won 11%. They performed 11% better at home than expected, and they've performed 14.4% worse on the road than expected. So with that being the case, Colin.
Yep.
Do you feel like that? Does that feel right when you look at it?
Yes, and I'm trying to find the article I found because actually I found the same thing when I first came to North Texas. I was like, all right, they're gonna be really good at football soon, and it was like you see all the articles, and it was like someone had tweeted Bleacher Report ranking. This is in 2015. I'm trying to find the article, but I can't. Apogee Stadium was number 1. They had the best home field advantage. And last night, when you sent me this tweet, I was like, why is it still like that? Because obviously the results over the last, however many years haven't really proven in our minds right away, like, oh yeah, they win a lot of games. But then I was thinking, what are their away games mostly? It's either teams that are way better than them. This is outside of conference. So you automatically start with like a lower win percentage there. And then in conference, they come alive during their streak of home games when they're comfortable. So, I mean, I think it checks out, but I don't necessarily know if it's an advantage if you're just going to go AB, home and away, home and away, home and away. Like, how much of an advantage does Apogee actually give at that point?
Well, I think this is outside of Apogee. Like just in general, I think this is a Seth Luttrell thing. I think if you look at that 2017 season, they went 6-0 at home, right? That was the year where it was like everything went right, like 6-0 at home. 2018, they go 5-1 at home, right? And that's the year they beat SMU at home. That probably raised the hell out of that rating. And like, I don't know. You go through it. Seth Luttrell, and this is to a bigger conversation a bigger thought that I had for Luttrell in general is he is a guy that when things are going well, he can excel, right?
Yeah.
When he has been faced with challenges and when he's been faced with difficult circumstances, for example, playing a tough road game, fill in the blank here or there, maybe UAB a few years ago when they had to beat them, or maybe when they had to beat Rice 3 years ago or 2 years ago to make a bowl game. Like, it's just it has never been something to where the team has come together for these road games that are big games. That's what it just feels like to me, and that's why when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this checks out. This checks out. They are when they're comfortable, this team plays well. When they're not comfortable, in general, I just don't think they play nearly the same level. So to see them as the 7th biggest disparity of any FBS team between home and road, I mean, I thought it made sense to me.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too far into the thing. I actually found the article just now. It's actually Wall Street Journal, published in 2015. North Texas had the best home field advantage, but obviously up to that point they hadn't really played that well away. So I was wondering if it's more embedded in a North Texas type of thing, and Seth inherited it and hasn't been able to get out of it because it's been a problem. I feel like the whole time.
I mean, I don't know if I can't blame it on like a North Texas lure. I think if Seth Luttrell was maybe a different type of coach, then maybe it would have changed to a degree. But the reason why I also think it's interesting is because if you look at the 2022 schedule, they start their season at UTEP.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone close to the team the other day, and sources, and we were just talking about how big that UTEP game is. Like how big that first game of the season is, because if you lose that game,
That's interesting. Yeah.
you're then playing SMU week 1 at home nonetheless, but I think they'll be significant underdogs in that game regardless. So you could potentially start off 0-2 in a season where you have to win 6 games. And with that being the case, and one of those is already a conference loss, right? UTEP is already a conference loss. And you have Memphis still on the schedule as well. So I just look at UTEP as being a complete tone setter. You cannot lose that game. Like, you can't, in my opinion, if you want to win 6 games. And so that's where I tie in the tweet that says they have performed significantly worse over the past 7 seasons or 6 seasons, whatever it is, on the road than at home, because you're playing UTEP on the road.
Yeah, so I was looking. You brought that up, starting basically a season with an away game, and it's interesting because that's kind of how they start most seasons. It looks like. Obviously, the SMU game switches every other year, but then you go into the other non-conference and it's away. Like if we're going back as far as the Arkansas game and Liberty, those are wins. But then you go to the next year, it's SMU and Cal, and it's 2 losses.
Yeah,
and then it's SMU at home, what you lose to, which I guess can be considered a home game if that's what you want to call it, because it's the rivalry. And then you go loss. And then if we talk about last year, same thing. You're at SMU, loss, UAB loss, La Tech loss, and it's like it snowballs. So that's interesting that you bring that up because the UTEP game, it could have similar circumstances to it, where if you lose this game, it kind of sets the tone for your season almost.
Yeah, so that's going to be the interesting thing to me is how that kind of works out. Now, I brought it up to Reed, but I'm still interested that the Vegas line's at 6 because I feel like that's correct, but at the same time, you can't have a 5-win season. Like this is Luttrell legitimately having to win 6 games.
Well, let me ask you this. So last year they rattled off the 5 wins in a row for the bowl game, right? What if those 5 wins weren't rattled off in a row? Say you win at Northwestern State, loss, win. Like does he still stand? I think that answer is no. Only because, like Reed said, it's really hard to get rid of a coach after he just did what he did at the end of the season. At that point, you have players that have obviously galvanized around him for 5 games, 6 games at that point because you're counting the bowl game. So it's not you can just flip the switch and get rid of it. There was no animosity at that point. But if you tell me that they go win, loss, win, loss, win, so on and so forth. I mean, I think we're having a different conversation this season if that was the case. Because last year, like Reed said, I would also agree that was the make or break year for me.
We asked him that on this podcast, if this was a big year, a pivotal year. And he said yes, and
he said yes, agree. Yeah, exactly. And he said the same thing about this year. So I think it's just it's interesting the way it happened because it's almost an outlier the way it happened, right? Because I mean, I think everybody up until he started winning, until he got to the 3rd game, I think everyone was like, all right, he's gone.
Question: what I mean? Is this fair? Is it fair to say he has to win 7 games this year to keep his job, including a bowl game? So if he goes 6-6 and wins a bowl, or if he goes 7-5 and loses a bowl, whatever, 7 wins this year, no matter what, has to be the floor.
7 wins, no matter what, has to be the floor.
So 6-6 and a bowl win, or go from there.
I'm just trying to see where these wins come from.
Because I think it is. I think.
I agree. I agree.
If they go 6-7, I can't see that being enough.
Well, the issue has always been they can't win a bowl game. They've had so many chances and they can't win it. And they don't not only lose them, they lose them by a lot.
Yes.
Man, that's tough. I mean, I agree, but I'm trying to look to see where the possibility for, if they could get 6 wins even. I mean, because UTEP's going to be tough. SMU, unfortunately, unless history changes, that's not going to change. You get one at Texas Southern. You probably get one at Nevada, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't think you get one at Memphis.
No.
Fort Atlantic's probably a wash.
La Tech's not as good as they were.
La Tech's not as good as they were, but it's always been a rivalry.
Let's give them La Tech.
We'll give them La Tech. What about Fort Atlantic?
Give them FIU, and give them Rice. That's 5. Rice.
Yeah, UTSA. They're going to be coming back with revenge after last year. UAB. They're UAB
again. So you're going to have to beat one of You're gonna have to beat UTEP, and that's what it comes down to. If you don't beat UTEP, I don't know if there's a way to get to 7 wins, like in general, or even a 6-6 season.
Exactly, and not only that, it's trying to replicate what you were able to do at the end of last year, this year, and again, we haven't seen that up to this point. And I think it's gonna be interesting because, like you said, you brought up that good point. You start the season with UTEP away, that's gonna set the tone, and especially when UTEP's trying to sell out the whole game. Like they know how big the game is.
Dude, UTEP was like 7-5 last year.
No, I know, but they're trying to build on. They're trying to build on
that's
momentum.
What I'm saying.
What I mean.
They have momentum in that program.
Yeah,
like this is not under the old UTEP where you just walk out there and win. And even 2 years ago when they had Jalen Darden was the only reason they beat UTEP. Like, I don't know. It's going to be real interesting that week 1 game, August 27th. So we're only 24 days away from now, Colin. And then
it's so weird.
Week zero. Yeah. That's all we got, I think, right, Colin? Anything else?
Other than the fact that I noticed that's a 9 p.m. game? Gosh, dang. That's crazy. Yeah, that's it.
There you go. I don't even know what time zone UTEP's in. They're in the Mountain Time Zone, right?
The UTEP, El Paso Time Zone.
I'm pretty
sure.
I
have to know.
They're in the Mountain.
Mountain time zone. Gosh.
So there we go. Is it concerning? Last thing before we go.
Okay.
Is it concerning that Reed was very bullish on Attaway, Bush, and Shorter's health?
Bullish, like he likes it, right?
No, bullish is like.
Is that not right? I'm
resembling a bull.
yeah. Characterized by
Aggressively
confident,
self-assertive. Okay.
optimistic.
That's the wrong word.
It's bearish.
Bearish, is that it?
Bearish is the word.
Okay.
It's like bear stocks, bull stocks.
Pessimistic. How about that? How about I just put it in
Pessimistic.
simple terms? He was pessimistic about the health of those three.
Yes, because in the past, we're always excited for a player coming back from injury, and they're never the same.
Yeah.
You know, and I love Oscar. So if anyone's going to do this, it's Oscar. But it is an issue if you don't have those guys.
It's a bigger Oscar is not even the most important. Shorter and Bush have to be healthy for this team.
Oh yeah.
Like they have to be good for this team to reach their ceiling. Because if not, as much as I think Jay Macklin can be good, and I think Rod Burns can be good, Travian Brown maybe could be good. Like, no, you need those two guys to be borderline elite, I think, for this offense. Because as much as people want to praise them for having the number one rushing offense in the conference last year, and like top 5 in the country last year, that's not what Seth Littrell is.
I mean, let it fly, baby.
Yeah, he's never been against running the ball, but that was out of necessity last year.
Right.
And so when you don't have receivers and you don't have a quarterback, you have to run the ball out of necessity. And it didn't make for very aesthetically pleasing games. He wants to air it out a little bit more. So I think you need Bush and you need Shorter to be healthy to reach that. So I didn't know that they still weren't 100%. So
yeah, I didn't either.
That's a little concerning to me. I'm a little bearish on that.
There you go. Not bullish.
I don't have a I'm not aggressively confident and assertively masculine.
Or comparing it to or resembling a bull.
Yes. None of those things I am about the receiver group. So all right, Colin. 33 minutes, plenty long. Thank y'all for joining us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Spotify, Apple, I think SoundCloud still. Wherever you listen to it, we appreciate it. Facebook. Check out our Facebook right above my head.
We need more likes. We're at like 10, I think.
Hey, let's get to 11. We get to 11.
One day at a time.
We'll do a giveaway.
I feel like we gotta do better than that because we always push the 55-star ratings on the old. So we gotta go. We gotta go. Listen, we're established now. New branding. We gotta go from 10 to like 30.
What are we doing if they hit 30?
Not sure, but we have to.
All right, not sure. You heard it here.
But as I see it ramping up, I'll think of something.
All right, there you go. We got Colin thinking now. This is good. All right, guys. Thank y'all for joining us. Shout out to Reed for coming on and talking as well. You can check out his stuff at Mingreen 24/7 and the NT Daily. So thank y'all for joining us, and we'll talk to y'all later.